And when you finish with that, I suppose you're gonna fly, huh?
Lima Sopoaga, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Bro, thanks for having me, Pete. Good to be here.
Yeah, nice, man. It was stoked that you were keen to jump on and chat, because I know that you've got a pretty cool story. You've played for a lot of teams, and it's going to add a lot of value. So thanks very much for coming on, bro. And we were just chatting today, day off. Sounds like you had a pretty massive weekend.
Yeah, we had a good weekend. We're obviously playing in, I don't know what it's called. We call it the Mickey Mouse Cup because we're in the second division. But
Yeah.
We played Argent in the weekend, and then flew up from Toulouse on Sunday morning. So it was a bit of a trek back to where I live in Leamington. So the big boss gave us the day off, and so today I just went to the pool and did a little bit of recovery, went in and got some treatment and smashed some weights, and then kind of just chilled out in the afternoon. My family's in New Zealand, so it's a good time for me to catch up on some sleep.
Yeah.
And get well rested.
That's cool, bro. How are you finding that? Like, obviously you play a game like that, and you said that the travel's quite tough. Is it a pretty different world over there where you're playing in compared to NZ with like the off-field stuff?
Yeah, like some of the places are a little bit remote, so you kind of got to go fly to a big city and then kind of take a bus, you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas when you're playing Super Rugby, you just sort of, the Highlanders playing the Blues, we'd fly straight into Auckland and, you bus from the airport to the hotel and that's that. But it's been pretty cool to see some pretty cool countries, like France was only an hour and 10 minutes away, and it just buzzes you out there. You can be in a, like different country and under 2 hours, the closest we got is, Aussie, which is 3 hours away. So, it was pretty cool.
True, right. And I sort of saw one of your tweets or whatever, how you said you're sort of chasing the 2-year-old around the streets of Leamington. So family life when they are there with you, how's that been treating you?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously a big cultural difference and just the way things are here, and obviously I lived in Dunedin with my family for about 9 years, and we live close to the beach, and there's some pretty epic walks in Dunedin, and local cafes and stuff. So it's little things like that we really miss. But we've made some really, really good friends and got to know the place really well, and it's just a different way of living over here, but it's something that we've really embraced. And it's not forever living here, but I think at some point we'll head home, and when we do, I think we'll really enjoy it and be really grateful for what New Zealand has.
Yeah, man. Cool. I remember you guys when you're living out there in St Clair in Dunners. It's quite a cool little spot with the cafes and beaches. I always used to see you out walking with the family.
Yeah, Dunedin's a cool spot, man. Love that place.
Awesome, bro. And you're Samoan Cook Islander, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome, bro.
So dad's full Samoan and mum's full Cook Island.
Nice, man. So how often do you get over to Samoa or the Cooks?
I've been to Samoa just once. That was kind of like a big family trip that we did. I think that was back in 2012. That was a long time ago now. But I've been to the Cooks sort of maybe 5-6 times. Twice because my mum's parents had passed away, so we had to go back and bury them. But a few times for rugby trips, and then just my own trips as well. So not as much as I'd like, but it is what it is.
Yeah, man. Especially when you're doing what you're doing and have been doing it for the last sort of decade, playing rugby. There's not often time to travel on your own for your own holidays and stuff. Cool, man. Awesome. I want to start basically the podcast off with something you've done a million times, so it should be pretty easy to chat about. Is your goal kicking? And I suppose the place that I want to start is something you do that's pretty unique for you before you've even put the ball on the tee or once you've just spotted on. Can you sort of explain a little bit about your routine, just in some good detail?
Yeah. So obviously, I was very lucky. like you, Pete, and you got to be coached by Tony Brown. And I think that's probably when my goal kicking had changed a lot, when I was coached by him and his philosophy around kicking. And he's worked with a lot of kickers and, different things for different players. But for me, he just really simplified goal kicking, and he really helped me just with the basics. So we didn't really have, he said I had good structures, like I had pretty all right technique, but I was very inconsistent with how I struck the ball and where I was aiming the ball and things like that, and sort of my timing and my run-ups. So for me, when I put the ball on the tee, I put the ball sort of either, depending on where the kick is, it'll be just on the right-hand upright or just outside the right-hand post, depending on what angle of the kick it is and depending how far. And that's just to kind of create some space for my natural draw, sort of right to left, with where I'm aiming. And then,
I'm pretty big on that. Is like actually being aware that you do have a natural draw, and then like bringing that into your technique. And it sounds like that's what you did.
Yeah, so that's what I did, and I think it was all down to Brownie. So we'd sort of aim just on the right hand upright or just outside, and then I guess I've seen you do it a lot. I put the valve like face down. Like it really gives me anxiety when I see like kids have it like facing up or facing to the side or things like that. It really, I hate it. But I put it down, and then once I've kind of done that, I take a couple of steps back, see if it's all lined up, and then I walk towards the ball, and then I'll look at a spot behind the post, and I'll just aim for that spot. Wherever it might be. So it could be like a letter on a signage, or it could be a colour on the wall, or a colour in the distance, or like a flag waving or something like that, and I'll aim for that. And then I'm sort of standing over the ball, and at this time I'm just saying like my little thing is TYS, just trust your stuff. Like I've goal kicked a million times, so I just say TYS, and that kind of gets me in the groove.
That's cool, bro.
And then another thing that I learned over the years is I had her name's Natalie, and she was a like kind of sports psych with the Highlanders, and just to keep me in the moment, she would just say like pick out something in the crowd that's like right there, or so I might be like the grass is green, the ball is white, or something like that, and that kind of just brings me back to being right in that moment.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, or I'll like look out into the crowd, and there'll be someone nicking a beer or something like that, and I'll be like, oh, that guy's nicking a beer, and then I'll look somewhere else, and I'll be like, okay, the flags are blue, and then after that I'll take my 5 steps back, sort of just on the angle, hit my foot down sort of twice, and that's kind of where I want my foot to hit the ball. So Brownie taught me like kick up the back of the ball and use the front of your foot, because obviously I kick kind of like a league style where the ball's kind of facing, on the angle a little bit higher. So I do that, and then as I'm about to kick, I try not to think. And I just kind of just let it fly, and if it goes over, it goes over, and if not, then just go again.
Yeah, holy moly. This is so cool, bro, because this is exactly what I want. Like the listeners listening to art podcasts, even if they're not goal kickers, it's awesome to hear so much detail. There's a lot that you went through in that, and there's a few things that I want to come back to. One's going to be the Natalie Fraser, her impact and how she helped. But the inconsistent strikes, was that kind of, so I remember you sort of came from playing with Wellington and moved down with the Landers and then with Brownie. How did you get a more consistent strike on your ball? Because I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that are the same.
Yeah, I guess it was like my inconsistent strike came down to my inconsistent preparation and like not really having the same setup or the same run up, and like it came down to also like not preparing the same. So like on Monday I might have like 10 kicks, and then the following Monday I might have 40 kicks. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't very consistent in how I actually, like, all those things, all those little things, like during your week add up to what you're going to get in the weekend. And so Brownie sat down and you know, like he knew that I could, you know, I had enough power to kick the ball, but it was more about my timing and how if I got my technique right. So kind of just his focus was, for me, were like head down, pick up the back of the ball and follow through. Oh, and trust your timing. Those were kind of like the 4 main pillars for me that I've kind of kept over the years, which made it easy for me to remember. So I've just stuck to those since being with Brownie and since learning how to kick better. And then I've tried to implement that into my weekly plan and making sure that, you know, I'm as consistent as I can be through most weeks into a game. And it's all, you know, like rugby's a physical sport. So like on a Monday, if I usually have 10 kicks, but like my body's not ready, then I just have to know in the back end, like I've got to be more mentally switched on, if that makes sense. Like, because you can't just flog your body just for the sake of doing kicks, you know, like you might as well not do the session. Well, that's my philosophy anyway. Like if you're not feeling great, like, and you know, like your body's not up to it, you're not really going to get much out of the session. Yeah. You're just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
But you actually have to be locked in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think especially with when you were getting coached, like you're obviously playing Super Rugby, you'd already done a shitload of hours. So I suppose you got to the stage where why spend any time doing poor quality reps? It's what it sounds like. The grounding yourself with, and I suppose that advice from Natalie, how you were finding things in the crowd and just like, and it sounds like you're grounding yourself in the stadium and sort of being in the moment. Do you do that? I want to hear some more examples about that, but then also, do you do that on the training field?
Yeah, so I would mainly do that a lot. Like I do it a lot now because it's just become ingrained to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like when I first kind of did it, I wasn't really practicing it, but then like I knew in the big kicks, when I felt the pressure the most, then I would automatically revert to that, if that makes sense. Yeah, so like when say you're like up by 2, but you got a penalty and like you're gonna push this lead to 5, like that's actually quite a lot of pressure. So that's when I really use that a lot. But after a while, like now it's just become ingrained, and like it doesn't on the practice field, like it can be really quick for me now. I can just be like, grass is green, my boots are red, and then just walk back and, you know, bang it. But like in a game, I'm really, especially with big kicks, I really take my time with it and you know, kind of concentrate, and it does really bring me back to the moment. I'm not thinking about if the kick's going to go over. I'm just right in that moment, worrying about my process to kick a goal.
Love it. And when I used to watch you kick, I could sort of see over the years of watching you, sometimes your follow through and that staying in the kick, head down, what a lot of people call it, was almost a little bit more exaggerated the more confident you got with your technique. Is that what it felt like?
Yeah, that's definitely what it felt like. And especially, like I said, with the big kicks, I knew that if I trusted my process a lot and maybe over-exaggerated certain parts of my kick, then it, like 9 times out of 10, it should go over.
Yeah.
And if it didn't, then I knew that I'd pretty much done everything that I could have. And, you know, like sometimes I might strike a kick and it comes off my boot so nice, but it stays dead straight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it stays dead straight, and sometimes you just accept that for what it is and just make sure that you just do the same thing next time and it should correct itself.
I had the thing, bro, because I used to have the same feeling, and then I used to sort of realise, shit, I'm kicking the ball straighter than usual today. So therefore, instead of kind of like your right upright or just outside, I'd be like, sweet, now I've got to come into sort of that 1.5 metre inside the upright because I'm kicking the ball straighter. Did you have days like that? So I found that with the Adidas balls would go a bit straighter than the Gilbert for me anyway.
Yeah, I do find that. But sort of what I went through with Brownie is that he kind of just taught me not to sort of, like, if you have one kick and it kicks to the right, don't overcorrect the ball and your placement of it, because you might kick it exactly the same again, but then it ends up, like that natural draw ends up pulling it to the left, and then you're kind of like confused on why you're kicking one to the right and then one to the left, if that makes sense.
Yeah, bro, yeah.
So I just kind of just keep straight on it, and then hopefully it just corrects itself.
Nice, bro. I can sorry, you carry on.
No, that's all I mean. Like if one went to the right and then I brought my ball in and then it led to the left, like it would mentally screw with my head.
100%.
So I just keep it on the right, and then if I get through it again, it should go where it's supposed to go.
Nice, man.
Hopefully,
I can hear goal kickers frothing as they're listening to that. We're going to stay on it for a little bit longer. If you're not enjoying the goal kicking chat, maybe fast forward 10 minutes because we're going to stay on it. The really cool thing, and I was watching some stuff last night. We've just gone through a whole heap of detail. There's obviously a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that all went into this stuff. And we're going to fast forward to your first All Black game in the debut, because when I watched the highlights of that, some of the kicks and even your game, like you were ready to perform that day. I'm interested to hear what it felt like when you were putting the ball on the tee in South Africa, playing for the All Blacks, and now having to rely on that technique that you'd built. Yeah,
that's it all seems so long ago now. People, like, when you talk about it like that, it was like it was yesterday, and it was a pretty surreal moment. But yeah, I remember it. The first kick, it was kind of in front, but maybe like 45 out, just on the angle. And I remember this was probably one of the most nervous I've ever been before goal kicking. But in the back of my mind, I had known, like, I had already done all the work. I prepared, like there was nothing more that I could have done before that ball went on the tee. So I did my usual routine, and it was a pretty hostile environment, and the crowd was buzzing, and it kind of made me more excited for the kick. And I really embraced that part of being a goal kicker, sort of big moments, high pressure, high stakes, high rewards. That's what really, what I really live for when it comes to these moments. So I just put the ball on the tee and did my routine, and I just let it fly. And I knew that as soon as I put the ball on the tee, that everything was going to be sweet. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have any fear of missing. Like, not for 1 second did I ever think in my head, like, oh man, I hope this goes over.
Yeah.
Like, I'd never ever thought like that. I just kind of just knew, and trust my process. Like, head down, follow through, kick up the back of the ball, and trust your stuff, and that's all I did. And I did miss a couple that day, and but it was good to come back sort of near the end of the game where I had to make 2 big kicks, and I made those, and it was pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. And what a great experience as a goal kicker, like having to, you nailed your first kick, miss a couple, and then exactly all that stuff you'd practiced a million times before with recovering from a miss, able to do it for the All Blacks. I want to hear your thoughts on game kicks versus training kicks, because you hear a lot of people say, just treat it all the same, it should feel the same. But I agree with the technique side of things, but that, like, intensity and that you feel when you have a game kick, like, I've only ever played in front of sort of 10, 20,000, whereas you've played in front of 100,000 sort of people. That intensity of all those eyes and the feeling and atmosphere must be a really great focus when you're able to enjoy it.
Yeah, it is, Pete, and it's very hard to replicate. But the way I sort of replicated it was at trainings. Like, I'd have kicking comps, especially in the All Blacks. TJ Perenara was a real big one for kicking, and he would really get stuck into you, and he'd just, like, talk so much trash to you. I remember one time in Sydney, we were kicking sort of on the 5 meter line, and he was just there talking so much trash to me, and I couldn't get it over. Like I probably had like 5-6 kicks in a row.
Yeah.
Where I just miss and miss and miss. I was getting so frustrated, and then like he was like laughing, and everybody was like laughing, and then he put the ball on the tee and smoked one straight down the middle, and like I was like, yeah, sweet, I'll get this, and I missed, and I just walked off. And I was just like, so like little things like that I've tried to like replicate. I know it's not like game situation, but like it's embarrassing when like someone who's not a goal kicker like nails the kicks and you can't get them. I think that's just as much pressure as like kicking in front of 100,000 people, because your standard, you think, man, there's no way a guy who never practices can beat me in a goal kicking comp. But when they do, it's like, like you're so embarrassed. You're just like, I hate this dude. You know what I mean? And so like, I think the best way I've been able to practice kind of those pressure situations is have kicking comps with other kickers on the team. And I think that's really helped me deal with big moments.
Have you sort of seen that where I talk about the 10 pillars? There's that pillar about becoming locked in. Like, so when you do have those kicking comps, like I encourage teammates and stuff just to give you so much shit, so much banter, because then you can practice that state of actually staying so focused and locked in with your technique. You can still hear it, but they're not penetrating what your actions are.
Yeah, I think that's. I honestly think it's so crucial. And one of the funny things was when I was at the Highlanders, is Jamie Joe used to come like randomly. I'd be practicing goal kicks, and he'd stand like sort of like right behind the ball, but not in the way, but really in my eyesight.
Yeah.
So then I'd put the ball in, and I'd be like, this guy's just like standing there, and then I'd be so concentrated on making this kick because he's watching, and then I'd make it, and then he'd just walk away.
Yeah.
And it was like a little mind fuck, you know? Like, I was just like, this guy's a weirdo, man. But like, he just really wanted to see, like what you were like under pressure. And, like anytime a head coach is like standing on top of you, any player's kind of always going to be a little bit nervous, you know what I mean?
Awesome, bro.
So little things like that have helped.
Yeah, so cool, man. Great stuff with the goal kicking. There's a lot of gold in there. Natalie Fraser, I've caught up with a couple of times with Natalie just with some mindset stuff. She helped with the goal kicking. Was there any other sort of gems or techniques you picked up from Natalie with preparing for a game or in-game?
That was one of that one was a big one for me, especially when sort of things weren't going right. Say like in the past, I missed 2 or 3 goal kicks for goal, that would affect my game, as well, because you'd be worried about the kicks that you miss and the points that are, like that you could have got for your team. So one of the things that really helped me when, say, I was in a kicking rut or something, is the whole finding something to laugh about, either in the crowd or during the game. Like, so if someone like got bumped off or there was a massive fin, I would kind of like have a giggle to myself in my head, or like I might see someone and they'll be like scoffing their face full of chips, and I'll just be like cracking up at that, and that kind of just like helped me be at ease with like missing goal kicks, or trying to get my head back into the game.
Yeah.
So that's probably something that I used, that I continue to use as well.
I like that, bro, because it's one thing I sort of picked up from the more experienced players, and when you do get to sort of play with the odd All Black, like you can see them in the game, or like when you get to play with them, they're sort of like they're loving the environment and actually having a blast during the game. And being able to sort of ground themselves and just have a moment of, man, this is pretty cool, this is fun, and enjoy it.
Yeah, like for me, like a big one, like I play with Aaron Smith a lot, and everybody knows what he's like. He's very, very like you can't shut him up, and sometimes he gets like in the red heaps. And all I would do, like his thing for me is when he was like losing it, like I would just come up and just like squeeze his shoulder and like look in his eyes, and like. Like when people go, get out of the red, like that's just going to get you more in the red, you know what I mean? So like I would just kind of like come up to him, squeeze his shoulder, look in his eyes, and then walk off. And then he might like settle down, or like that might be something that, and he would do the same for me. Like if he could see I was getting frustrated. So sometimes having someone in the team who you trust or who you've got a really good relationship with, to have those like little cues can also help.
Yeah. That's wicked, man. That's pretty cool. And I guess when that happens, you probably had the thought in your head like, oh, yep, sweet, I need to calm down. Aaron's obviously noticed that I'm seeing red. I need to get my game back on.
Yeah, and that's it. And then you just go about your business again and go back to trying to have fun.
Wicked, man. Next thing I want to chat about, the move from Wellington down to Southland. So Mod 10 Cup. You would have been playing. I know that there was a bit in there, and I'm not too sure how much you're willing to share. But that move from playing for Wellington, like where you grew up, all your boys, your mates, and then heading down the road to Southland. So, just a little bit on that decision.
Yeah. So at the time, there was a CEO at the time there, and what happened was I was in some of my career best form, and essentially they were going through budget cuts and wanted to cut my contract again. And I'd already taken a pay cut the year before, which I thought was reasonable, and I was happy with that. But after the year I'd come off with the Highlanders, where we had made the playoffs for the first time in 12 years, I really didn't think it was that justified, and we kind of went back and forth, and then Southland came in, and I had known a few boys there, like Elliot Dixon and Whopper and Cabbage and a few of like Tim Boys and all that, and it kind of was just too good an opportunity to say no to, and it was it was easier for me because it was closer to Dunedin, and I didn't have to keep shipping my stuff up and down the country. And so essentially that's what it came back down to. I didn't really feel as a player I was getting what I thought I was valued at, and Southland decided to do something about it. And I sort of said to the CEO at the time, like, this is what I wanted. It wasn't, I didn't want anything out of the ordinary or anything like that. But he just said, no, we're essentially going to cut it again. And I said, oh, well, thanks, but no thanks. And I made the move down to Southland. And that's what it came down to, essentially. And that's I guess that's professional rugby these days. So you've got to make decisions based on your own circumstances and for yourself. And you just got to run with it. And the guys that, who I'm close with in Wellington, they all understood, but it was a very hard decision to leave, essentially home.
Yeah, man, must have been a big call, because the emotional connection to that province and the boys. With Southland, what was the best thing about playing for Southland? You'd already were carving up with the Highlanders, and then sort of in the All Black chat as well. Like, what was the best thing for your playing career that you kind of took out of playing for the Stags?
I think for the Stags, it's like when I went down there, I didn't really know the place that well, but it's a place that I hold dear to my heart, because it's a place where it's not that big and everyone knows each other, and it's a very, very tight-knit community down there, so they really get behind you. And I just really enjoyed the people, and that's what I've really enjoyed about rugby over the years, is that this game has given me a lot, and when it's all said and done, it'll be the people and the relationships that I've built over this time that really mean something. And there's a lot of good people in Southland that I met who really helped me sort of grow as a person and as a rugby player. And for that, I'll always be grateful to them for that.
Yeah,
and that opportunity.
Wicked, man, wicked. So you play first five. You played a lot of positions and had a long career. I want to speak about some of the mentors that have helped grow your game as a first five, and some of the names people that you've been in contact with, obviously Dan Carter, Tony Brown, playing with guys like Bowden and Aaron, Wayne Smith also in the coaching staff. Who are some, out of those guys, or who are some other people that have really pushed your game forward as a game driver in playing 10?
Yeah, well, when you name all those guys, like, yeah, I guess each and every one of them has at some point. Obviously, Tony Brown, he's probably been someone that's been instrumental to my career, and someone who's really, like, a lot of what he's done with me when he first came in 2014 has stuck with me, and I've tried to, like, carry on what he taught me, and even guys who don't play 10 have helped a lot. Like, I was lucky enough to play with Ben Smith for a very, very long time, and just the way he sees the game and the way he approaches it is pretty special. Like, nothing ever phases him, and the way that he prepares during the week, seeing the way he is in the team environment, like he's probably arguably the best fullback in the world, and just to see him at the Highlanders, just one of the boys, happy to roll his sleeves up, like not too cool for anybody, just everything that a Highlander man is supposed to be. Like, he was it, and he was a great example of what a professional footy player should be. And then, I've had great players mentor me. Colin Slade, when I first came down, he was awesome. I came down to the Landers when essentially no one wanted to come down, and he had come from the Crusaders. And when he got injured in my first year, he was someone that kind of put his arm around me, and I was only sort of 18, 19 at the time.
With guys like Colin Slade and Carter and even Bowden, have you got any examples of, like, during a training or even like some conversations where you've had like little moments where you've learned something? Yeah,
I guess someone who I was really close with was Aaron Cruden, actually, and he was someone that I really looked up to, and during the training, he was just like, his thing, when you watch him play, like, he's very instinctive, and he's very, off the cuff. And that's something I really, really enjoy. And that's something that I model my game on. And I remember talking to him one time, and he's just like, and he said to me, he's like, whatever you do out there, just always back yourself. Like, the first thought that comes to your head, if it's run, run. If it's kick, if it's pass, pass. Like, just do whatever is coming to you first. Like, don't second guess it. And I think, like, as a young dude, that's all right, because you've got no care in the world. But when you kind of start making these teams, and then people are writing stuff about you, or like you're in competition with other guys, you can tend to forget that. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
You're worried about making a team rather than just enjoying the moment. And that's something that I think is very special, and something that I've always kind of kept, is just like, just back your instincts. Always just do, like, if something's telling you to chip and chase over the line, just do it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And do it at 100 miles an hour with everything you got.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, it's going to pay off. So that was probably a really good example.
Yeah.
From him, and someone who I was ended up being really close with.
I get the question a bit through Rugby Bricks of, I'm a fly half, first five. How can I improve my decision making? How would you answer that question? Obviously, you said there about you trusting your instinct, but how would you get better at that?
Yeah, that is a hard question to answer, isn't it?
It is.
How do you get better? I think, like, for me, Colin Slade also said this to me when I first started playing at the Landers, and like, he was injured and stuff, and things weren't really going to plan. He's just like, it's time in the saddle, like,
yeah,
you're only going to get better with time in the saddle. Like, you can't buy experience. You have to go out there and, like, physically do it, and learn from your wins, and then learn from all your bad experiences too, like your losses and things like that. And I think eventually you tend to make better decisions as you get older, because you've gone through, all your failures as a footy player, like from your younger years, or when you get in the league and you make mistakes. And
yeah,
it's just really what you learn from those things. Like, if you have a bad game and you just park and you're like, I don't care, like, like who cares? I'm going to be better next week. Like, how are you going to be better if you don't actually look at the things that you did wrong and learn from those things? Like, say you throw an intercept, like ask yourself, why did I throw that pass? Like, what picture was I seeing? And then if you look at the tape, you might be like, oh, actually, like, I was just throwing it for the sake of throwing it. Like, I didn't actually look what the defense was giving me. And I think that's kind of how you get better at making better decisions as a 10. Like, it just comes with time in the saddle. Like, it comes with learning from all those experiences, I think.
Yeah, and
I think
you've almost got to become a little bit obsessed with the position. Like, I challenge a lot of people, especially here in Melbourne, where there's a lot of other sport to watch. It's like, how much rugby are you watching? Are you watching Super Rugby, watching other first fives? Because you can't play every day of the week. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Really, just investing yourself time in the saddle. That's a great tip from Colin.
Yeah, so I guess watching your favorite tens too. Like, I didn't watch all rugby all the time, like, but guys who I really enjoyed, who I thought, man, I like the way he plays, or I like the way he kicks. I'd have a look at a few of their clips, or just see how they moved around the game and got to their spots, and you can kind of just take the good things from that,
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned there about throwing an intercept pass, bro. We're gonna chat a little bit about your shocker. We all have bad games, but I feel like you had a monumental bad game that I actually remember watching live. It was bizarre. And you copped a lot of flack for it. So what we're talking about is that game down in Invercargill where you guys played the Cheetahs.
Yeah.
They won 36-19 over you guys, and you got pulled off and replaced by Colin at the 37-minute mark. So most people that know rugby is, if you get cut in the first half as a first five, it's pretty bad. So things just snowballed, and you threw one, and then something else didn't go right, and then something else didn't go right. Talk us through it, bro.
Oh man, like when I think about that game, I laugh now, and I look back, and I think that's one of the games that really helped grow my career. But it was something like horrific at the time that I had to go through. And for anyone who knows rugby, getting hooked before, like 3 minutes before halftime, like the coaches, like Jamie Joe could have like waited 3 minutes, but
nah.
I've asked him this so many times. He's like, nah, bro, no good to me, man. Had to get you off. And I was just like, and but like now he's just like, see, now you think you make it past the 37th minute, bro. You're having a good game. You make it past the 37th minute.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of always been my thing. But yeah, it just kind of snowballed. Like, I threw an intercept, got charged down. There was a penalty sort of like in front. I hit the post. Like by the time halftime had come around, like the game was over because I had made like some monumental fuck ups, and they were sort of 25 points ahead or something ridiculous like that. And it just snowballed. And I think at the time I was very young, and I made one mistake, and that mistake played on my mind. So then I tried harder to do something special to make up for the mistake. But, I'd make another mistake, and then I'd try even harder and harder and harder. And it just didn't go well. And like, I guess over time I've learned, like, if you make one mistake, it's okay. Like you don't go out into a rugby game trying to, throw intercepts or get charged down. It's just part and parcel of the game,
Yeah.
But what I have learned is that, like, it's your next action after that matters the most. Like, you can't be like, if I miss a kick and it hits the post, like, all good, it hits the post, next job. But in that moment, in that game, I was so consumed by the mistakes that I made before that I ended up making way more fucking mistakes, and it just ended up going from bad to worse to a complete fucking nightmare, And I look back on it now and I laugh about it because, like, it's just one of those unfortunate things that I went through. But I think it was actually something that I needed and something that has helped progress my career. So I guess for anyone listening, like, who's gone through a terrible game or a shocking game, like there's two ways you can look at it. You can either like learn and take the experience for it, and you'll laugh about it in years to come, like I do now with a few of the boys who are in that team. Like we laugh and we joke, like, fuck, you had a terrible game. We were so shit. Like, and we laugh now, or you can sulk about it and you know, and not choose to get any better. And I think I was lucky in that team that year. Like we were having a shit season anyway. I think we went 0-8, and our season was over by the midway. But guys like Brad Thorne and Matanonu and I think there was, you know, Tamati Ellison, Jose Gear, you know, some real superstars of the game kind of put their arms around me in the weeks to come and kind of just helped me through that.
It must have felt really embarrassing, like when you got superstars that I'm sure you looked up to as a player, and now you're sort of still pretty young, and then you put that out on the field. You just must have been wanting to jump in a hole.
Oh, bro, honestly, it was the worst thing like from a rugby perspective that I reckon I've gone through. You know, you have such, you know, and like a 10 position is such a pivotal position in the game. Like if you don't have a good 10 or your 10 has a bad game, like everybody knows about it. But on the flip side, you know, like the team's winning, the 10's the guy who looks the best, you know what I mean? And you kind of got to take that playing as a 10. Like you're going to have good games and bad games, and the team might go through, you know, a bit of a rough patch, and that's on you. And then they go for a good patch, and then you look like a rock star. So I guess from that pure embarrassment point of view, yeah, it was. But you know, for a lot of those guys, they've gone through similar experiences at one point in their career.
Yeah, and with your teammates, I know that a guy who put his arm around you was Brad Thorne. He had a few words for you. Yeah,
he did. It was crazy. After the game, I was pretty distraught. Like, honestly, I just remember sitting in that changing room and just like thinking, man, my career's over. Like it's done. And he put his arm around me. He came, sat down, and brought his spades over, and he told me a story about Darren Lockyer and how in his first test for Australia, he had like the worst test of his life.
Wow.
And like, yeah, I think they ended up losing to the Kiwis at that game. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Well, something like that, or Great Britain, one of the two teams. And he told me how Darren Lockyer had, you know, on debut was horrific, and how bad he was, and that, you know, like look at him now, and that kind of just gave me motivation that like it's not always going to be perfect, but it's just like how you bounce back and how you decide to take these learnings and move forward. And it was pretty, you know, to be honest, I was just a young kid at the time, so it was pretty hard, like especially, you know, like social media is coming into the fold, and as a young kid you're kind of reading everything and everyone's telling you how shit you are, and like like you're young, so you think, you know, like you want to read everything and be like, oh cool, when everything's going well, and then when it's going bad you think, oh fuck, my life's over, like I'm so bad. But you know, to have him say that and kind of help me out through that sort of time was pretty special. And it was unreal.
Who did they go with the next week? Did they go with Slady at 10?
Yeah, they went Slady straight away at 10. Like Jamie Joe didn't even tell me that I was getting dropped. I knew. Yeah. Like I knew straight away. It was like, I was like,
fair cool.
I might not even get another game this year.
Yeah, unreal, bro. So fast forward to 2015 with Highlanders footy. You guys win the Super Rugby comp at the Cape Town. It was just such an amazing season to follow, and some of the people you got to win a super title with. I suppose I want to speak about what was different for you that year, but also like what was it about that season, about the timing of everything that it all sort of come together?
Yeah, it's a hard one to really, like, now that I think about it, like I don't know what it was. It was just like the special bond or the special feeling that we just had. And I guess for our team, you know, like it was a workman-like team. We didn't really have many stars or anything like that. I think Waisaki came down that year, and we had Muller, who had exploded onto the scene the year before, and obviously Aaron and Ben Smith. So our game, you know, revolved heavily around those three.
Yeah.
And then Jamie kind of just had that workman-like pack who just installed belief into us, like a real belief that like if we worked hard, if we trusted each other, if we had like a genuine care for each other and a brotherhood, and a sort of, like a bond that not only on the field but off the field, that we could do some pretty special things, and it just kind of filtered. Like we'd win one game and then it just another, and like winning breeds confidence, and we just started to become confident on top of our hard work.
Yeah.
And so when we ended up getting into the playoffs, so we played the Chiefs at home, and they were a very, very, very good team. I think they were back-to-back champions then. I think they had won 2-13, 2-14 maybe.
Wow, yeah.
No, they didn't. Yeah, or they had just been back-to-back champions. Yeah, so they won 2-12, 2-13. Waratahs won 2-14, and then we had them in the quarters, beat them, and then we had to fly to New South Wales and play the Waratahs, who were defending champs. And Jamie Joe was just amazing, like the way he could bring people together and just make you feel like you were Superman, or make you feel like you could do anything. And he put up this article that they had written in the paper, and it was to the forwards, and their forward pack, they had more test caps than our forward pack had Super Rugby games.
Yeah, wow.
Just in their forward pack. So he just knew how to get the boys on edge and things like that, and winning that one, and then obviously going to the Cape Town and doing what we did there and winning that was pretty unreal. And it was just a crazy year, and something I think that will just always live with me.
Yeah, pretty special. It sounds like that Jamie, maybe like he's a phenomenal coach, obviously with the success, but he maybe doesn't get enough credit for the environment that he creates with the group. With that, so you think about that 2013 team that was supposed to be the Super Rugby winning team. Like, I want to mention a few names that I just got down for just to jog people's memory. So you had Tony Woodcock, Andrew Hoare, Aaron Smith, Tamati Allison, Ma'a Nonu, Brad Thorne, Ben Smith, Jose Gear, Colin Slade, yourself, Fumiaki Tanaka, Nasi Manu, Elliot Dixon, still with the coach Jamie Joseph, plus a whole heap of other really good Super Rugby players. And that year turned to shit. Like, that was awful. Also, I suppose, like you said about the momentum thing and getting a win, getting another win, was there any other differences you spotted between that 2013 year and 2015?
Yeah, I think we just, the Highlanders have always been, it hasn't always been a team full of superstars, you know what I mean? Like in the Deep South. And I think that's where maybe Jamie kind of knew that he went wrong, is that the Highlanders region isn't a region, it's not like a glamour club. You know what I mean? Like, they're not a team that are full of guys who have unbelievable X factor. It's more a club that has sort of a handful of players who are, world class, and then everybody else is, just works hard and does the job. And I think we kind of went away from our DNA in 2013, what the Highlanders is and what that region kind of is a very hardworking region. They're very, very kind people down there, and I think we might have just gone away from that, and we kind of, you read those names out and that's a bunch of Rolls Royces, you know what I mean? But in 2015 we had a handful, we had Aaron Smith, Ben Smith, Milo was in the All Blacks at the time. I don't think we had anyone in our forward pack who was an All Black at that time as well. And I think the difference was we kind of just had that chip on our shoulder in 2015, where in 2013 we got the rock star team and we thought, oh yeah, it'll just all come together, but it never did. And in 2015 we had that rock star, we had that sort of workman team, and we just flew under the radar a little bit because we didn't have big names. But we were just a really, really solid team. Like if I put it to like a basketball kind of sense, like it felt like we were kind of like the Spurs a little bit, you know what I mean? Where we just like the only way we were going to beat teams is playing team rugby. You know what I mean? Like we had to play team ball to get over the line, and we couldn't rely. Like we had a handful of guys who could do something crazy, but if you look at our results that year, they were based on like team performance and everybody like doing their bit and everybody knowing where to be and what spot to be and just knowing the game plan inside out. And then underneath it all, just working bloody hard for each other and having a team culture that really embraced each other.
Yeah. Amazing, bro. Like it's funny you use the analogy of the Rolls Royces, because I remember the car park when you guys had that team, and as a young academy player myself, I was like, Jesus, like the amount of, it looked like a Ford dealership with you guys rocking up. It was like a bunch of rock stars coming to the gym. It was cool to see, but yeah, just obviously didn't come together. Me, bro, I could speak about the Highlanders all day, but we'll move on just to your All Black career and a bit of chat around that. So we spoke earlier about you making your debut in South Africa. It was sort of 2017, right? That was kind of your really good year with the All Blacks, where you were in there and fully amongst it. How was that experience with the coaching and getting some good confidence from your good Highlanders season? And then that must have been a really fun year.
Yeah, it was a really fun year. Obviously that was the year that the Lions toured, and I didn't get to be a part of any of the tests, but I got to play in the Dunedin and the Highlanders versus Lions, so that was pretty cool. But when Cruds left after that Lions series, then I kind of got to be number 2 for Bodie, and being involved in the match day 23 on a regular occasion that year was pretty cool. And just the whole, like getting into that environment is just another step up. It's pretty crazy, because like Cruds had left, and then there was me and Bodie, and I think we were going with D-Mac at the time too. So, like in terms of like experience, we were quite young and inexperienced. Obviously Bodie had played well over 50 games by then, but beneath him, it was just me, and I only had a handful of tests. And then there was D-Mac, who was even younger than I was. So it was all really a real big learning experience. But with that environment, you've got so many great leaders out there. We talk about a spine, from 2 to lock to 8 to 9 to 10 to 15. Like the All Blacks had a really, really strong spine. So you never felt uncomfortable out there, because you had other guys who were leading other things and driving the game plan, and all you really had to worry about is your job. So I think that was a key part of me enjoying the environment and getting good game time and becoming part of that All Blacks sort of family.
With the Highlanders, I'm sure you got to the stage where, like, as soon as you're getting out of the car at Highlanders HQ in Dunedin, like, you're pretty confident that you sort of belong in the environment and can really enjoy it. Are you able to create that same feeling in the All Blacks, or you're kind of always a little bit on edge?
I think you're always on edge. Well, I was just, because I had played so many tests, and but I guess, for guys who are older, who have been there a long time, I think they don't necessarily relax, but they're just more comfortable in their own skin. And at the beginning, I probably wasn't so comfortable with it, because it was another step up, and I hadn't really experienced what it was going to be like. Like, you have this thing in your head as a kid, like, you want to be an All Black, you want to, put on the black jersey, and it is everything that you dream about, but you don't really think about all the other stuff that goes on in the background, like the preparation, the scrutiny on the team, like the All Blacks win by 60, the other team's shit. The All Blacks win by 5, they're not playing very well. You know what I mean? So it's just like
constant.
Yeah, it's just constant, and like it's such a high expectation of of that team. You put that jersey on, and like it's expectation that you win, like, and you win well. Like no team's ever supposed to be good enough to like touch you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's not the reality of professional sport. You know what I mean? Like you got another group of 23 guys who are opposite you who want it just as bad as you, if not more. But so sometimes you might come up against a brick.
Yeah. Awesome insight, bro. With that, so you were starting to get some good game time with the ABs. Like you're also one of the best 10s in Super Rugby in New Zealand. So I guess I want to go into now the whole Wasps thing and moving away, and just kind of talk through your decision making process around. Sweet, well, I'm kind of starting to become one of the All Black 10s now, even if it is number 2. And then you decided, I'm going to make a career change and head overseas. And so you went straight over to Wasps, was that right?
Yeah. So I came straight over here after the 2018 Super season.
Yeah. So bro, firstly the decision, and then we'll go into what it was like getting there, because I know you've taken a bit of shit over there. So
yeah, I guess at the time it was kind of like a crossroads in my career. Well, not really a crossroads, but like I was about to have my first child, and I think a lot of things change when you're having a baby, and sort of like your window of opportunity in rugby isn't that long. You know what I mean? Like you only have a very short window to be able to make a good living, and then what you do with that short period of time is going to kind of determine your quality of life after rugby and what you're able to do, which is kind of like what I was weighing up. And at the time, obviously, I was number 2, and Bodie's Bodie. You know what I mean? Like I don't, like in career best form, like I wasn't going to get past him, and like that's okay. Like sometimes someone's just better than you, and that's just what it is. Like I have no animosity towards that, and but every rugby player wants to play. You know what I mean? Like every rugby player wants to play big minutes and things like that. So I guess for me, it just came down to what I thought was best for my family and where I was heading going forward, and sort of the opportunities I was getting at international level, and also the amount of time that we were away is quite a lot, and people don't realise how much time a lot of those All Blacks have been in there a long time, like Kieran Reid and guys like that who have sort of 3 or 4 kids. The amount of time, he's played 100 tests for the All Blacks, so he must have missed like countless birthdays, countless wedding anniversaries, or like family holidays, or 21st birthdays for his family, like his cousins or whatever. You know what I mean? So all that kind of plays into my decision to move overseas, and I always knew that I wanted to move overseas and try something else and live abroad and do it through rugby, because, like not everybody gets the opportunity to move from New Zealand to the other side of the world and be able to travel the world and see places that they've never even heard of. So I think that's all what came into it. And I just decided that, like I love the All Blacks, but, I've been blessed to wear the jersey 18 times. And if someone said as a 10-year-old, you're going to wear it 18 times, I would have said, you know what, that's enough for me. And I just made a decision sort of based on my family and my future, and went with it.
Yeah.
And so that's how I found myself here.
And you played under a roof with the Highlanders, New Zealand rugby, as we know, so quick, so explosive. And then I suppose some of the differences been going from a beautiful field with a roof on it over to the sort of the generic cold wet that we sort of see at Wasps. I know it's not like that all the time, but it is completely different, and I'm sure it must have been a pretty big change for you.
Yeah, it was. And like, to be fair to the Premiership, it's probably the toughest comp. Like obviously I haven't played top 14 or in the Japan League, but I played Super Rugby, and this comp is pretty gnarly. It's pretty tough across the board. Like anybody can beat anyone. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
the bottom of the table Leicester can tip series on their day. Whereas, like, no disrespect to the Sunwolves, but like, like realistically, are they going to beat the Crusaders away from home, down in Christchurch? Like it's sort of a little bit one-sided, but
that makes a lot of sense,
very,
bro. Really, that makes a lot of sense and pretty good explanation, because that's kind of what it looks like, that any team can get up with everyone just looks so physical.
Yeah, honestly, bro, it's not as fast and it's not as skillful, but man, it's very, very brutal, like set piece dominated. Like they put the ball in the scrum and everyone's scrumming for penalties. I'm like, fuck, just quick hook, let's go. But like the conditions don't allow for that as well. So I understand why over here, like they play a very physical game, and like the guys are massive. Some guys are in the gym like from the age of 15 and they get into the league and they're fucking huge, like I've never met any, like across the board, like these teams are just massive, man, like from 1 to 23. So it's been a real eye-opener in how the game is played, like they focus a lot on set piece, like driving mauls and scrum pins and things like that, and sort of the brutality of it, like brute force is what they would use over here, whereas I think maybe the game in New Zealand kind of uses, finesse and skill to beat teams, of all the time.
So with that, how do you'll get told like what's the reason you first started playing rugby, and that was to enjoy it and sort of find the fun and find the joy. What do you sort of in your own career, in your own playing now, what does that look like for you? How do you get fulfillment and enjoyment out of a game for Wasps?
Yeah, I guess my fulfillment has kind of changed. Like I guess when you have kids, things are put into perspective. Like when I come home, my oldest daughter, Mida, she doesn't care if I win or I lose, like she just sees her dad. So for me, I guess the enjoyment just comes out of like giving my best every week. And, like if we win, we win. And like, I'm super stoked about that. But if we lose, it's not like the end of the world like it used to be for me. Like I used to come home and like dwell on it and stuff like that. But if I can come home after a game and know that, okay, during the week I prepared as well as I could have, like I left no stone unturned, I gave everything in the game, then really like I can look at myself and be like, like sometimes the other team across the pitch is just better on the day, and I can live with that. But that's how I get enjoyment, is knowing that I've given everything during the week, and then on game day it's just time to go out there and have fun and try and enjoy what I do. And because I know that, I'm 28 now, this game isn't going to last forever. I might be finished at 32 or 34 and then that's it. It's back into the real world. So each day now, I just take it for what it is. It's special to be a part of, because you blink and, your career's almost done, like a lot of guys used to say that to me when I first came to Super Rugby at 18 years old. They said, like enjoy it, because it's going to go fast, and they're not wrong at all. I used to think when I was 18, I think, I'll be around forever. But now I'm 28, I'm like, fuck, I'm one of the old guys, like guys are calling me old and things like that. I'm like, man, I thought I was still young. But probably that, and just getting a real kick out of seeing like some of the young boys progress and trying to give them sort of advice on what helped me get to the next level, and hopefully in years to come, I'll be able to see some of those young boys progress to international level, and I think I get a real kick out of that.
Yeah.
Like this year, or like last year, I got a real kick out of seeing Josh Ioane play for the All Blacks. I think that was I was like, man, it was awesome to see. Like I was real proud of him and proud for his family, but also just kind of like the relationship that we had, and it was a pretty strong one, and trying to help him progress his game and get to the next level, and to see someone do it. You get no greater fulfillment.
There was that cool Instagram post you did with Josh. It was a few years ago now, where you're sort of passing on the baton, that Highlanders number 10 jersey, to him, and sort of saying it's yours now, bro. So cool to see that. And I suppose now, is it Jacob Umaga? Have I said that right? Over there with you at the moment. He's using a pretty good kicking tee as well, bro.
Yeah, I see that. I see that he's using that rugbybricks kicking tee.
Yeah, how good. But he's going well. So another player that you can sort of help mould. there was like you've taken a lot of scrutiny with Wasps, and I suppose why do you think you've gotten a bit? Do you think that you didn't play well when you first got there?
Yeah, I think I didn't play well when I first got here. Like that's just facts, like not as well as I could have, especially because of the form that I had before I left, and I think I was very, very tough on myself, and I didn't deal with that as well as I could have, and I always was trying to it's almost like the harder you try, the worse you get.
Yeah, just like that cheaters game.
I think that, yeah, like I just, and then I kind of had come from Super Rugby season straight into this, and my love for the game kind of wavered because, obviously the team's not going well. The year before, they were going to awesome. I think they made the semi-final, and Sips was here and he was playing great, and the team was really going great guns. And then I'm supposed to come here and make us go to the next level, and it didn't quite eventuate. And I think I just worried about too much things that I didn't need to worry about, things that were out of my control. And for me, this year heading into it, it's probably something that I've let go of, things that I don't need to worry about. Like I can just worry about me and do me. And I found this year that I've actually started to enjoy my rugby again and find that love. But sort of through last year, the cold hard facts was I wasn't playing well and I wasn't happy. And those things coincide with playing good rugby. Like if you're not happy, you're not going to play well. And I think that's, and I think sort of the whole move as well was affecting not only myself but my family as well. And it was quite a big process to move sort of 30 hours away from what And but now I know I'm better for it, and it's been a wicked experience.
So with that, just the last thing on Wasps, if we were to come spend a week go to the Highlanders when you were there, watch you guys for a week, be in team meetings, stand on sidelines, and then we came over for a week and watched a week with Wasps, what would be some of the differences we'd be able to see and how things are done, or sessions, gym sessions? What's kind of the difference for us?
Yeah, I think my experience at the Highlanders was it was very player led, whereas over here it's very coach led,
right?
Which is a big difference from what I'm used to. Like player led in terms of back in the Highlanders, you get the game plan. Obviously, you don't have to make up the game plan. That's all done for you by the coaches. But then, as the messages you deliver throughout the week is done through the players. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
When a lot of the team meetings are run by the players, obviously with the coaches' help. But there's probably a difference that you see. But here it's a lot of coach led, which is probably what most teams are used to over here. I've only been to one club, but maybe that's just how it's done. And I don't think there's a right way and a wrong way. It's just different to what I'm used to personally, and it's just different ways of thinking and different ways of doing things. But in terms of your general sort of training week, you wouldn't see anything too dissimilar from here to back home.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. In terms of the schedule and the structure of the week and how you do your weights, you do your dex units, you get your day off. It's all pretty much, it's all kind of the same. No one's doing anything, extraordinary.
Cool. No, it all makes sense, bro. It's great insight again. Just to kind of wrap up, we're going to got sort of two more questions. The first one, I want to hear the story about when you got the ball from halfback, you turn around and then do a chip kick over your head, over your shoulder, and I think Matt Faddis got on the end of it, or someone did. He should have scored. It would have been the try of the decade if Faddis was a little bit quicker. So yeah, it was a crazy play, and I want to try find that footage and use it sort of to promote the podcast. Bro, I want to hear about the week when Brownie comes to you and say, "I've got an idea."
Yeah, so we'd always have our Monday meetings, and that's where we do our attack attack sessions. So he'd come in and he'd have all the plays. And this one play, he reckons, because, Brownie does a lot of like hit the 12 and he turns around and, you kind of do like a double switch, like the centre would come and you pass him and then the winger would come the other way and you dummy him. And then, you might give a gut ball to the prop through the middle, like crazy shit like that. Yeah. So he reckons like at the time the Canes were a big line speed team.
Yeah.
And he's like, like if you run to the line and chip kick, he reckoned that the centre would pick up on your cue and he would turn and be able to get to the ball before our centre could. And so he reckons, what about if you turn around, like you get the ball from Nug, you turn around and you kick it over your head because they're not going to see the ball and they're going to think that we're running a
switch.
A reverse play kind of thing, like a switch that we had run a few times. And I was like, you can't be serious. Like, he's like, no, I'm serious. Like, I was like, are you joking or are you serious? He's like, no, serious. We'll practice it during the week. Like, he was adamant that like this is what he wanted. I was like, nah, you've got to be having a laugh. Anyways, so we get outside on the Monday. He's like, yep, sweet, we'll go through it.
Did he show you
like
how to do it?
Yeah, so he just said, just turn around and kick it over your head. If that makes sense. Like he just said, just turn and then just kick it over your head. And I was like, okay, sweet. So he was just like, yeah, just pop it over your head. Anyways, we get there and I turn around and like the first one, I think I kick and it goes straight into my head. like smacks me straight in the face.
Oh my God.
And then the next one, it like kind of skewers off. And like, I'm just like, nah, there's no way we're doing this. It's like, no, we'll do it. So we keep persisting with it all week. And like during the week, it wasn't really going to the spot that I needed it to go to, or it wasn't really going anywhere. But he was adamant, like, just do it. Like, you can do it. And I guess that was a cool thing about him, is that like he could make you believe you could do anything. And I think that's a pretty special trait as a coach towards the players, to make them believe they can do anything, even when they think they can't. You know what I mean? So
100%.
I think that's one of his greatest coaching assets, is that he makes you think that you can do anything. So anyways, we get into a game and it's kind of like a little bit raining.
Oh, bro, just before you get into the game stuff, this is all happening while Jamie Joseph's eyes are watching, eh?
Yeah. So like, I'm pretty sure Jamie's thinking like, nah, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
it must have been
like, nah,
pressure as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's just like all my whole kicks that week, when I'm trying to kick it over my head, like they're going skew with, like, I can't do it. And so we go into this game and it's just before halftime, I think. And I call a play, like a simple play where we're just going to just hit it up and then forwards around the corner, like. And then Waisaki goes to me, bro, do the kick. And I was like, what? He's like, bro, do the kick. And I was like, fuck it then. You know what? Yeah. And I scream out to Nugget and I said, cancel. And he looked at me and I was like, and I like gave him a head nod. He's like, oh shit, he's going to do the kick. So yeah. And then I ended up turning around and then, doing that. And I actually thought I was going to get one to the ribs from Brad Shields. He was kind of marking me. And as I turned, he kind of slows up and he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So he kind of looks to chase Malachi, who switched.
Yeah.
And then that second, I just put it straight over my head. And it just works out. Like, it would have been unreal if we scored the try.
Oh, all right,
but it would have. But that's just the way it was. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It's a pretty crazy moment. I get a lot of questions about that one.
Well, like it worked. Like, that was the beauty of it. Like the whole plan came together and it worked. It was just Faddis just didn't have that another yard of pace or a fend, and it would have been one of the, like I said, try of the decade. I'm definitely going to scroll through YouTube and find that. Wicked, bro. Thanks for sharing. Last thing, man, just your inspo. I know you're a pretty big NBA fan. Obviously, that and some of the players. Is you listening to any podcasts or got any good Netflix things you're kind of looking at the moment?
Bro, I actually listened to what's his name? Fuck, this is gonna annoy me. Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes has got a podcast.
Yeah.
It's called All the Smoke.
Yeah.
I've been listening to that one recently, and he's got a few, like Lou Williams is on there, Stephen A. Smith. The Dwayne Wade one was really good on there, so I've been listening to that. Yeah, those are some really cool ones, especially the insight on Stephen A. Smith. Like, sometimes listen to Stephen A. Smith and you're like, man, you're just an idiot, bro. Yeah. But if you actually hear his story and hear where he's come from and what he's about, like, he's actually like, I'm like, fire, you're the man.
He's a workhorse, like cool the dedication he put into his commentary career. Some of his interviews, like I've heard a few stories on him where he's prepared for it and just nailed it.
Yeah, like that's some of the cool podcasts I've listened to. And then I don't know what it's called, but I watched it like a couple of nights ago on YouTube, and it's Ron Artest. He's got like a 2-part documentary, about 50 minutes long. That one's a sick one on like Ron Artest and his mindset, what happened that night. You know, is it the Malice at the Palace or something like that when he had that scrap with that fan?
Right. Yeah.
Like that's a really good one. So yeah, obviously quite into my basketball. Really enjoy it. Heading over to LA in 2 weeks to watch the Lakers Clips play. Wow. With a few mates.
Wicked.
Which will be pretty cool. So yeah, I one of my big regrets of my sporting regrets in terms of like going to watch a game is I could have gone to Kobe's last game. We had a bye week, and I should have gone, and nobody wanted to come with me, and I was like, nah, I'm not going by myself. Like that was my biggest regret, never just seeing that guy play live. So I promised myself I'll go watch LeBron play.
That was Kobe's 60-point game, eh?
Yeah, I know. 60-point. I'm devastated to this day. Like, think about it, I'm like, man, you're so weak. You know, like could have definitely gone to that and just breaks me.
Well, you get to see LeBron. Hopefully, like the thing is, when you go to those games, sometimes they have the game off or whatever. But I'm sure LeBron will be playing, bro.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking about that because we paid an arm and a leg for our tickets. I'm like, Kawhi, LeBron, AD, you guys better not be having this rest. You know what I mean? Like,
how close are you? How close are you to the court?
Yeah, so we're actually we're not like right in the nosebleeds, but we bought tickets that were sort of about $600 US. They're not like right on top like. There were other ones that were sort of 1,500, but that was just a bit steep. So we kind of I wanted to be close enough so that you could actually kind of see them and not watch them through the big TV on the screen. You know what I mean? If you're going to go all that way, me and my mates were like, if we're going to go all that way, we might as well make it like a viewing that's worth actually going for rather than just seeing little dots running around on the court, you know what I mean?
100%, man. That'll be a great trip. I'm sure you'll pick up a bit of merch while you're there too.
Yeah, 100%.
Wicked, bro. Hey, thanks so much for chatting, man. I knew that when I asked you and you said you were keen that it was going to be a real cool story with some good yarns and that. For me, that detail around your goal kicking is going to be really valuable for a lot of people, and there's some real cool stuff in there with the experiences you've had. So I guess, all the best with sort of the next, with this season and the next decision. I reckon you've still got sort of a good sort of 4 or 5 years in the tank left of some special stuff. So keep doing what you're doing, bro. Is there anything you kind of want to wrap up with or any messages?
No, not really. I just want to say thanks to you, Pete, for coming on. You know, keep pumping out the content. I know a lot of people sort of slide into my DMs and ask about rugby, and a lot of the time I just kind of send them to rugbybricks and say, especially when it comes to that goal kicking stuff, I think you're doing a lot of cool stuff for not just professional rugby players, but for young kids. So I think you'll be proud of what you're sort of building there on rugbybricks, and I wish you all the best as well with what you got going on and all your coaching and stuff, bro. I think it's pretty cool and big future ahead for you guys and yourself personally. So all the best, brother.
Wicked, man. Hey, bro, thanks for your time.
No worries, bro. Anytime, man.